Hey, before you watch this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're one of the really cool kids, go to patreon.com/MattTheLast, links in the description. The more money you give me, the more money I have.
Evil Dead is fucking great. I'd say the first 3 films are absolute classics, and Evil Dead 2 is in my top 5 films of all time, easily.
Not to mention Ash vs. Evil Dead, which, despite ending prematurely, was an absolute blast and added amazing characters and lore to the series. I have been waiting impatiently for the day when we finally get to add a new game to the franchise. Ignoring, of course, the mobile games.
Oh, and I do.
Guys, it's been 17 years since Evil Dead Regeneration. This game is old enough to fucking drive.
So I'd say we're about goddamn due. God damn it.
So here we are with Evil Dead the game, which is kind of bullshit. Your game, what, number 5? Sit your ass down. Okay, now stand back up, because I have a review to do.
So, for those of you who saw my previous video regarding the game, let's just get this out of the way, shall we?
Previously, I may have subtly hinted that the game being a multiplayer affair slightly disappointed me. But a couple of you were kind enough to point out that they were adding some single-player elements to the game.
You can play with your friends, and we even have a couple side missions where you can play by yourself.
That's just kind of vague, man, you know? But they did add some single-player stuff to the game. Kind of. Sort of. Hold on. First, you have the tutorials. One for playing as a survivor, and one for playing as the Cantarian Demon. Ooh, okay. Then you have those solo missions that were mentioned in the interview. And yeah, there currently are a total of 5 missions, with a 6th being labeled as coming soon. These basically function as extended tutorials and get you used to playing on the survivor side of things. But you're also required to complete them in order to unlock specific characters for use in the main game. They're fine. I'm not sure I'll ever play them again after unlocking everybody. Oh, I do like the special artwork that they did to punctuate sections of each mission. That was cool. Now, if only they didn't stop the action every single time you played the mission to show you the artwork, that would be dandy. And lastly, there is an option for pure solo play with AI teammates versus AI demons. And this is where the real single player meat would be, if your AI teammates weren't so taint-scrapingly stupid. And yeah, I know that bots are probably never gonna be a match for the beef computer that is the human brain, at least not for a while, so I'll cut them some slack. There's no option to play as demon versus AI, however, which, if you ask me, is a bit of an oversight. Plus, when you're playing solo, you don't seem to get any experience whatsoever at the end of a match, so I guess character progression is completely out the window. Fun.
However, this is heavily undercut by one glaring flaw. Let me explain.
It's science time. To test things out, I purposefully bought a physical copy from
ローカルビデオゲームリテールストア
When I got home, I disconnected my PlayStation 5 from the wired and wireless network and then proceeded to install it. I wanted to see exactly what came on the disc and what you can do with the game without being online at all. So what did I find? You need an internet connection to use this feature. Oh, you mean the feature of starting the fucking game? Is that the feature you're talking about? So yeah, they won't even let you get past the goddamn press start prompt unless you're online. Even after the rather sizable update, the game remains inaccessible to those of you without internets. Now, I'm sure many of you will be scratching your heads. Aren't you always online anyway, you might be saying? For starters, I thought I told you to stop living in my walls. But no, you're not wrong. The issue is that this game and others like it phone home to a server to establish a connection, and online servers just don't exist in perpetuity. And once those servers go belly up, this disc will be less useful than that copy of Just Dance 4 that I found.
I use it when I'm making chicken.
So we essentially have until the death of the online component to play what little they gave us. And yeah, they could add another patch, but if you lose access to that, the game will simply cease to function. I'm just gonna... there we go. Hey guys, can I get a weapon? Hey guys! Yeah.
Which doesn't matter anyway, because it's still not a narrative campaign, which is what I was talking about in the first place. But I'm not here to talk about what it isn't.
They were never going to be able to add a full campaign at that point in production, and it wouldn't be fair to hold that against it.
But with all that out of the way, let's review this thing.
Evil Dead the game is a 4v1 asymmetrical multiplayer experience. For those of you who've played games like Dead by Daylight, you'll have a basic grasp on what that means. Except that game gives you very few options to protect yourself and mostly plays like the world's most violent game of hide and seek. Whereas here you get to respond with, "I know you are, but what am I?" But for everyone who's not hip to that particular gamer lingo, this game has you play on a team of 4 humans from the Evil Dead franchise, while one other person plays as the opposing demon, or demons. On the survivor side of things, God, survivor, that word doesn't really sit right in this context. But I guess ass-kicking demon exterminator wouldn't have fit so neatly. On the AKDE side of things, you're tasked with finding 3 pieces of a map placed randomly around the game's map. As far as I can tell, each piece only spawns 1 at a time, but luckily you're given some direction on where you can find them. From there, you need to find the Kandarian dagger and the lost pages of the Necronomicon Ex Mortis.
Le livre des morts disparu.
Both of which kinda play like TF2 control point matches. All the while, you can search various locations for ranged and melee weapons. These come in 4 different flavors: original, blue raspberry, purple nurple, and orange fizz? You'll find these within their corresponding color-coordinated crates. These crates also contain bottles of Pink F, which is used to upgrade your character's attributes for the duration of the match. This is a reference to the cocktail that Ash makes in Ash vs. Evil Dead, but there it's called Pink Fuck.
Pink Fuck is a proprietary mix of liqueurs and spirits garnished with orange rind and nutmeg. Oh, and there's a shit ton of ketamine in it.
I mean, did they really not want to say fuck in an M-rated game? Plus, the bottles it comes in kinda makes it look like Pepto-Bismol. You can pick up cans of Shemp's Cola as a healing item, which is weird because in the show it was a beer? I guess they didn't want to convince all us impressionable adults to drink or something?
Well, frankly, I'm just not that suggestible.
And there are amulets that act as a magic shield before the Deadites can once again hack away at your health. Other than health and stamina, you also have to manage your character's fear meter. Every character has a different threshold for being scared, and if you get too spooked, you leave yourself open to possession from evil, which is bad. Don't do that. The best way to decrease your fear is to light fires at certain locations on the map, which requires matches, another thing to pick up. After successfully acquiring the dagger and the pages of the Necronomicon, it's time to visit the Dark Ones and give them a stern talking to. Which kinda looks like you're holding up a lighter at a rock concert.
We want Chili Willy! We want Chili Willy!
Finally, after they're dealt with, you need to protect the Necronomicon long enough for the ritual to go through so you can send those bastards back to hell. The Demon's gameplay consists of gathering power from these little doodles right here. Then using that power to summon Deadites, set traps, possess players, cars, etc. Generally attempting to stop the good guys by letting their timer run out or, just murdering them all, like you do. As you continue to complete these actions, you gain levels, and each level lets you power up your demon, which is a phrase that I'm just glad that I'm able to say. And as you power yourself up, you get to be even more of a pain in everybody's ass. At the end of each round, player scores are tabulated and experience is divvied out. This includes experience for the character that you played as, your overall player level, and spirit points that continue to accumulate. The character levels are pretty self-explanatory. They result in skill points that you can use to beef up your playable AKDE or demon. As far as I can tell, the overall player level only really results in a trophy or an achievement. It may have something to do with matchmaking, but it's not entirely clear. Spirit points seem to be a method of balancing the game's character progression. You're free to use them at your leisure to power up your characters or demons however you see fit. And honestly, as far as the basic gameplay loop goes, that's pretty much it. Good versus evil, kill or be killed, it's not a bad way to adapt the series into a multiplayer framework, and frankly, I'm not sure how else you do it, so there's that. And with that out of the way, let's move on to The cast here is great, and why wouldn't they be? Bruce Campbell, of course, returns as Ash, which should always be the case. I'm looking at you, Poker Knight 2.
That's a bad hand. Believe me, I know a few things about bad hands.
But we have a great overall roster, including the original actors returning as Cheryl, Linda, and Scotty. That's fucking rad. Plus the great newcomers like Kelly, Pablo, and Amanda. Welcome to the franchise, guys. Honestly, it's a lot more fun than I expected it to be. Okay, I may have gone in with relatively low expectations, but I've been enjoying myself. They did the right thing and they included true platform-agnostic crossplay. I've been playing with PC players and Xbox players, and it's been great so far. The lack of predatory microtransactions. Even in games that I like, you occasionally have to deal with this in-game currency nonsense. As of now, Evil Dead the game does not do this, and I can absolutely appreciate that. I've already touched on the always online bullshit, and it is bullshit, especially when you're dealing with a physical disc. The game isn't without its bugs and glitches, unfortunately. Sometimes it's as simple as, "Woo, my hair's a helicopter!" or the semi-regular occurrence of the bouncy item. And in one instance, I was playing the final solo mission, where I accidentally picked up a melee weapon, which caused me to drop the mission-critical sword, which then proceeded to disappear completely. But fortunately, I wasn't recording at the time, so you'll just have to take my word for it. And in one particular online match that I was playing, a guy suddenly claimed that he couldn't interact with items, attack, or do much more than move around and give us moral support over the mic. I mean, yeah, of course he could have been lying, but I see no reason not to believe him. And then we have the Season Pass. I gave them praise for not having microtransactions, and I stand by that. But fuck this Season Pass. I'm well aware that they're standard issue nowadays, but not only is this thing nearly the price of the main game, but it literally tells you nothing about what might come in it. Extra maps? No idea. Additional characters? I don't know. Guys, if you're gonna put up something for sale, just give us some idea of what we're spending our hard-earned money on, okay? Initially, I thought that there was only one map. I was dumb. There are two. But to be fair, I think the fact that it's not immediately obvious kinda bolsters my point. There are variations, like sometimes it's snowy, and fighting demon-possessed people in a forest is appropriately Evil Dead, but like, what about a map based on the kingdom in Army of Darkness? And I want to shop smart. I want to shop S-Mart. The controls could do with a little refinement. There are times where I'll be right up on an item, but it'll take me several tries before the prompt will actually work. In a game where a deadite could be halfway up your ass in mere moments, that's not great. And getting stuck on little bumps in the terrain happens way more often than it should. Now, the roster is good, but there are a few other notable characters that I'd like to be able to play as. Ruby Nobi, for example. Now, I assume that she and possibly other maps could come as DLC and are part of the Season Pass. Maybe they could have said something about that. And I did touch on the solo missions earlier in the video, but they really feel like an afterthought. Because they were. I appreciate the nice artwork they did for the various stills and the attempt to tie the missions into moments from the series. But it all just feels tacked on at the last minute. And what's with the one that's coming soon? Do I need to pay for that? Tell me your secrets! Which brings me to my biggest concern, the potential longevity or lack thereof. Multiplayer games like this one live and die on how active they are. Server use and upkeep can be expensive, and if your game doesn't have legs, how long can that last? If things don't pan out, this game could easily become lost to time. And based on the way that it was built, unfortunately, that's inevitable. Which is a goddamn shame because it's Evil Dead and I am enjoying it. If you could play solo entirely offline, or if it had some dedicated server options for when the game is no longer supported, that would be different.
So, should you buy this game? Well, did all that sound good to you? Do I regret buying it? No, I don't think so.
Especially if you like and subscribe, and share this video with everyone you've ever met! But the question I was left with after writing this review was this: will I continue to play this after I'm done putting out my video? And the answer is a resounding yeah, probably. Especially if they can continue to expand and give me a reason to come back. We'll just have to see what they add. You son of a bitch.
Now, it was never gonna be what many of us wanted out of a modern Evil Dead game, but for what it is, I've been really enjoying it. I just can't shake the feeling that it's not quite as groovy as it could have been. See you next time.